mercy.
Alright, this is going to be my part 2 of how to teach kicks in Ninja Zone. I'm making these videos for newer instructors that either haven't got much practice with teaching Ninja Zone kicks or just any instructor who wants to get better at teaching kicks. I know these can be difficult because a lot of Ninja Zone instructors never did any kind of martial arts or tricking training in the past. So fear not, I got you covered. We're going to go over 3 kicks today. It's going to be green level, tornado kick, butterfly kick, and sweep kick. So I'm going to start with the one that I think is the easiest. It's called the sweep kick. The reason I say this one is the easiest is because it's basically just a really low hook kick. But it's a little bit trickier because the idea is to drop all the way down as low as you can. So with any kick, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. There's actually a forward sweep kick, which is but that one's way less common. It's the roundhouse kick low, so you're coming from the back and moving forward with your sweep kick. But for this one, I'm going to be going over the hook kick style of sweep kick. So they should have learned their hook kick already in yellow. I recommend making sure that they can do a regular spinning hook kick. Alright, so starting off, they're going to start sideways. This is how I prefer to do it. You can also start forward. I think sideways is a little bit easier. And then there's 2 ways to drop down. You can either drop down to a knee, where you're going to be facing the opposite direction, dropping on your lead leg, facing back. The other way to do it is just by basically squatting really low, like this, so the knee is not touching the floor. I recommend using the squatting method if they're wearing like shorts, because they're going to be sliding their knee across the floor, and that's going to cause reg burn if they're not wearing pants. So just like the spinning hook kick, I'm turning back, but I'm going to take my lead leg and drop onto that knee. So now I'm taking a knee facing the other way. I'm going to take my hook kick and throw it sliding across the floor. That's why it's called a sweep kick. You're just sweeping the floor. The hardest part about this, I think, is actually standing back up, because you're in kind of a weird position here. I think that's the easiest way to do it. Then the method where your knee doesn't touch the floor. Squat down as low as you can. Again, hand on the floor. Sweep. In martial arts, this would be aimed at the ankle or foot, but we don't teach martial arts here, so that's not really important. Pretty simple. It's just spinning hook kick on the floor. The next 2 are going to be significantly more difficult. I'm going to go over the butterfly kick next because I think it's a little bit easier than tornado kick to teach. The butterfly kick does not come from the 5 basic kicks that I talked about last time. Front, side, back, round hook. That's why this one can get a little bit confusing. The trick is to tell them that it's more of a cartwheel. So going back to cartwheels for a second, there's 2 ways to teach cartwheels. There's from a lunge, where you're facing forward. This is the typical way that tumblers and gymnasts do it. In ninja class and a lot of tricking, we like to teach cartwheels from the sideways position. And the sideways position one helps more with learning the butterfly kick, because the butterfly kick is just the sideways version of the cartwheel, but your hands don't touch the floor. So the first step to this move, something that a lot of people end up skipping over when they get really good at this move. I think when you're first teaching it, you should practice it this way. It's called the dip. You wind up, and then you make your body go in a U shape. It's the dipping motion before you start to do your no-hand cartwheel or butterfly kick. Notice how my arms are moving in the same direction that my upper body is moving in. Starting over here, dipping down and going up. This helps a lot with gaining momentum. And then after that, both legs come up and move in a rainbow pattern. So it's the upside down rainbow to a regular rainbow. like a sideways S. So there's a few different methods to get them to the stage where they're comfortable trying a cartwheel with no hands. One method is trying a cartwheel with one hand. That's not the way I usually do it. The two ways that I usually teach this is on the tumble track. I like to do, they do their dip, they reach out, and they jump into a cartwheel. So both their feet come off the floor, then their hands go on the floor. When they're coming up, they're gonna push back off their hands and come back onto their feet. So basically they're trying to do the move completely and then putting their hands down so they don't fall on their head. And my favorite way to teach this, I think this is the best way to get them to understand the move and learn about getting their hips above their head. I have a mailbox mat right here. You can use pretty much any mat as long as it's not too high. Ideally, it should be around knee height to hip height. What they're gonna do here is just put their hands on it on each side and practice throwing their legs in the rainbow pattern. The higher it is, the more it teaches them to actually push themselves up, get that upward momentum. They need to think about getting their hips and their booty up rather than just their legs. The next step with this would be to jump into it. Just like we did on the floor, it's kind of the same method. They're just gonna try to get both feet off the floor first before they put their hands down. For me personally, I'm not strict about how high they need to get their legs when they're first doing it. If they're doing this, that's still a butterfly kick. It's just really low. So tell them that they're doing the butterfly kick. They're doing it right, or at least close to right, and all they have to do is work on getting their legs higher. You can also hold out a kick paddle or a pool noodle and try to have them swing their legs over it. So every time they practice it, their legs go a little bit higher. All right, moving on to the third one. This one, I think, is by far the hardest one to teach. When it comes to most kids, they have a little bit of a hard time understanding this one. It's because it looks confusing when it's done fast. So what this one is, the tornado kick, is a roundhouse kick with a jump and a spin. You're adding two things to a kick that was already a little bit confusing. Take it in steps. Make sure they know the roundhouse kick. I like to teach it from the front leg, so then I would make sure they can do it from the back leg. Make sure they're not doing a crescent kick with their toes up. We don't do crescent kicks in ninja. So when they can do the roundhouse kick from the back leg, next step would be adding the jump. Start from sideways, lift up your lead foot, then you're going to jump and roundhouse kick with the back leg. So once they get the hang of that, you add the spin. Now you can either teach this going forward, martial arts method, or you can teach us moving sideways, more of a tricking method. Just have them work on step over, lift, step over, lift, before they try to add the kick or the jump. The direction that they spin should be the same direction that they're coming out of a cartwheel. So if I cartwheel with my left foot, moving in towards my left shoulder, I'm gonna learn my tornado kick, spinning over my left side. This is so you can combine them later on. So then after that, you gotta try to combine all of them. And I think the best way to do this is by going through it step by step with them at the same time. So you're doing it slowly and they can watch how you're doing it and try to copy you. So I teach it in 3 motions: the step, the lift, and the kick. Big problem I see with this one is after they do their step, they look back, they lift, and they can't make it all the way through with the roundhouse because they don't know how to jump that far. So they end up, the trick to solve that, have them take a bigger step in the first step. Step all the way around so that when I lift, I'm already facing the target. Another problem I see a lot with this one is you think they understand it, you've gone over it a million times, you tell them, all right, you got it, try it a little faster. And they do this. Or something like that. It's important for you, the teacher, and the student to not get discouraged by that. Just take it back a few steps. This one takes a long time to get the hang of. This is something that people in Taekwondo and Karate spend years trying to master. I'm going to wrap it up with those three. I think I am going to go over blue and purple. The higher we get, the longer it takes for me to explain these. So I might end up doing it just level by level from now. Please let me know if you found this helpful. Don't be afraid to contact me if you have any more questions or if you think I'm doing something wrong. My Instagram is here. I'm also on Twitter and Reddit. May the force be with you.